KREF app.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, it's time to get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Here we go, folks. A duo never before seen or heard on these airwaves, or any other airwaves for that matter. Grayson Singleton is on vacation all week, and thus, joining me today through Friday here on Locked In is Blake Gamble. You may know him. He does a little bit of everything around here, contributes to our high school broadcasts. Most days he's producing our YouTube stream here on the show, and come June, he will be taking over as one of the morning voices here on KREF alongside Chris Plank. But Blake, I believe it is our very first time sharing the airwaves together. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing just fine, Parker. Excited for this week. Yeah, it's our first time on the air.
That it is, and it's going to be an exciting week because in terms of immediate news pieces, there's not a ton in the sense that, okay, you have a bunch of schools across the country that are going to begin hosting official visitors this coming weekend, this coming Friday most specifically. OU is not one of them. They don't start welcoming official visitors to town until June 6th, so next Friday. But the Sooners are starting to get hot, Blake, and I know it happened while you guys were on air Friday in my absence, so it's been discussed a little bit, but the Sooners picked up their third commitment in 10 days on Friday. And this one is probably, in my humble opinion, the biggest of the three. In more ways than one. He's a large human being. Brian Harris at 6'4", 290 pounds, defensive lineman out of Mandarin High School in Jacksonville, Florida, committed to Oklahoma on Friday over South Carolina, over Michigan, over Penn State, and over Alabama. And, well, here you go, Blake. It's May. June is quickly approaching. Official visit season is quickly approaching. But the Sooners didn't have to wait till until official visit season, to kind of start to generate some momentum on the recruiting trail, which much of this fan base had been waiting a long, long time to see. It had been since January 28th of this year when Daniel Odom committed to Oklahoma. The Sooners had not had a commitment all the way up until Niko Jandreau earlier this month. Days later, Jakore Smith also committed. And then 1 week later, Brian Harris was on board. So 3 commits in the span of 10 days heading into OV season. Feels like Oklahoma's got a little bit of its swagger back in a recruiting sense.
100%, Parker, and we talk about this all the time with different teams. You know, you want to get hot at the right time. You want to be playing your best ball at the right time. And for recruiting, why not be getting hot right now, right as OV season right around the corner? You got the Champ U barbecue coming up here in a couple weeks too. You got some big names that are be coming to campus here in 2 weeks especially. And I know we're going to get into some of those names, but I know we also want to look back at some of those 3 guys that recently committed as well.
I tell you, before we go any further, first off, I want to acknowledge our sponsor here on Locked In, and that is Dorsey Jones GMC out in El Reno. Family-owned and operated, low-pressure service or sales environment out there. Tremendous service advisors, half-price oil changes on Saturdays, and GMCs, of course, are some of the most reliable vehicles on the road today. So many reasons to head out to El Reno and do business with Dorsey Jones GMC. We appreciate their sponsorship of the show. I had a very unique experience earlier today, Blake. I had one of our loyal listeners, I won't name names, but I had one of our loyal listeners send me a think piece on NIL, a link to a think piece, of which there are so many these days, right?
Sure.
And I take a look at the byline, and I'm like, wait a second. I know this guy's name. this guy that wrote the think piece, I know his name. I got to think about this for a second. And then it occurred to me, hang on a second. This guy that wrote the think piece and apparently works in the NIL space these days is married to my completely psychotic ex-girlfriend from college.
Whoa.
So I'm like, man, imagine being this guy.
So wait, you're saying she has a type?
In what sense?
I mean, the industry, the sports industry, college football.
I guess.
Coverage of some sorts. I mean,
I guess.
I'm not saying you didn't dodge a bullet, but there's something there, Parker.
She may have a type. I'm not sure. Haven't spoken to her in years and years. Have no desire to. But it's kind of crazy to me because NIL is just such a chaotic landscape in general. It's something that I really want no part of. You know, I cover it because I have to, but covering recruiting was much easier, much more simplistic. Honestly, more fun before NIL because there's just much less of an opportunity for people to get upset over really everything. And it was a much simpler decision-making process for the student athlete, right? You evaluate the fit, you evaluate the roster, the perceived competition that you'd be getting into if you picked so-and-so school, you play so-and-so position, right? And so it was a lot simpler. There was a lot less that went into the calculus, and these days money has kind of changed everything, right? Really leveled the playing field in a certain sense when it comes to high-profile recruitments, and there's no greater example as far as OU is concerned than the Williams-Winery recruitment a couple years ago, right? Where pre-NIL, there's not a chance he's going to Missouri over Oklahoma. But, again, NIL levels the playing field, gives Missouri an inroad, they take advantage of it, they land the kid's commitment. But, man, I'm thinking, okay, so you have to work in the NIL space and you have to deal with this chick for the rest of your life?
Sounds like he likes chaos, maybe.
I guess he likes chaos,
He's got a thing
man.
for chaos.
He's got a thing for chaos. More power to him. I wish you the best in life, sir. You're going to have your hands full. Hey, listener in the 405 asks, was she a redhead, Parker? No, she was not. I never dated a redhead. That was one genre, I suppose, into which I never delved. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. But that tangent aside, getting back to the matter of Brian Harris's commitment, Blake, really clear, and I don't know, did you guys play some audio from Brian on Friday after he committed?
Yes, yeah,
okay.
we got your interview with him. We got some other comments, I think. Yeah, it was great. It was, I mean, the chat was packed with people. The drama of everything. It was like, why is this taking so long? Grayson
it did take forever.
He felt so confident. We couldn't find a live stream of it. We finally found the right Twitter account to follow. Tyler was scaring Grayson, saying, hey, you know, I've been in the seat you've been in, and I was real confident, and then saw a flip, and Grayson started sweating bullets, and finally I gave him the thumbs up. They got him, and, hey, did you happen to see he threw horns down as soon as he gave the commitment?
Did he really?
He really did.
So I didn't watch the live stream. I was on my way to Bentonville, Arkansas at that time. So had everything ready to roll for his announcement. You know, I'm sitting there refreshing Twitter because I got a story to publish. I got edits to kick out. It's taking forever. I don't think it was like till 2:25, right? It was supposed to be 2 Central, 3 Eastern. And it's not till like 2:25 that he finally goes public. But go public he did. And I think if you were tuned in on Friday and you got to hear some of those comments from Brian Harris, or if you watch the interview I did with him on the OUinsider.com YouTube channel, you come to see why the Sooners love Brian Harris so much. It's not just about the player that he is, Blake, although he is an outstanding player. He's got an awesome personality as well. And the type of personality that you would imagine is going to make him a very effective peer recruiter. And he said, look, I'll be back for my official visit on June 6th, but I want to be back on the 20th to help recruit Jake Krell, the 4-star defensive end from IMG Academy with whom Brian Harris is good friends. He said, look, I know that to a certain extent Oklahoma is going to be able to sell itself, but I want to be able to put in these guys' ears all of the reasons that I chose Oklahoma and all of the reasons it makes sense for them to choose Oklahoma. And I want to be back here a ton over the next few months to help recruit the remainder of this 2026 class around me. So in Brian Harris, you have what is in many ways a centerpiece. And again, not just in a stargazing, pure talent type sense. Really good football player, sure. But a guy like that, especially a guy that is very talented and regarded across the industry as a blue chip prospect, you love picking up a guy that has such an outgoing personality, somebody that is going to be so willing and able to recruit their peers to come along with them to Oklahoma. And that's especially necessary, Blake, when you have a quarterback commit in Jaden O'Neal that understandably is a little bit unsure and has been for a while. The quarterback is always the player that's going to have the most sway with his peers. He's always the guy that's going to command the most respect, generally build the best relationships, and kind of be the central hub through which the peer-to-peer communication flows from the school. But for many reasons, right, that's just not really feasible right now with Jaden O'Neal because you don't know. You'd like to believe he winds up in Oklahoma's signing class, but you don't know that for a fact. You kind of have to wait for the outcome of the whole Bowe Bentley saga, which we'll dig into more here in a little bit, before you really can count on Jaden O'Neal winding up a Sooner on signing day. And if you can't count on Jaden O'Neal winding up a Sooner on signing day, and he's not even sure, as evidenced by the fact that he has other official visits set, that he's going to be a Sooner on signing day, he's not going to be as actively engaged in recruiting his peers to a school that he may not wind up at. So getting a guy like Brian Harris, especially at such a juncture as this on the calendar, when official visits are still in the windshield, as it were, as opposed to the rearview mirror, crucial for Oklahoma.
Absolutely. It's a major win, and it's why so many programs wanted him, because he seems like such a high-character guy, a guy that just speaks so highly of OU. Parker, something that you talked about in the last week or so was talking about OU guys or Oklahoma-type guys. I think it was in reference to Bowe Bentley. Is he an OU guy? Is he an LSU guy? And you said he feels more like an Oklahoma guy to you. And, you know, when you first said that, I'll admit, I kind of turned my nose up at it. I was a little, skeptical. I was like, is that just because of our proximity to the school, our familiarity to everything? Mm-hmm. We can kind of fall in love with the Sooners because Brent Venables is such a good guy. The program dynamic, everything they sell is so easy to buy into. And it's like, do these 16, 17-year-olds really care about that? Brian Harris cares about that so much so that he's going to go out there and he's going to spread the word to all of his peers, and he's going to say, hey, this is why I want to be here, and you need to come join me, and we can go make a difference in the SEC.
It's a great point that you make, and I probably don't say this enough. We probably don't say this enough. I guess I can't speak for everyone else in the market and in the industry, but I know this is true for me. I love covering this program, man, genuinely. And not just because the University of Oklahoma is my alma mater, but because all of the leadership figures within the football program are such respectable and personable human beings. Right? They've built this program on the right cultural precepts.
Wait, are you saying there's scumbags involved in college athletics, Parker?
I know, imagine that,
Breaking
right?
news.
It's great that I can get on this microphone every single week, every single day for that matter, and I don't have to defend debauchery or put stuff in the spin zone to try and explain why such and such a development isn't all that big a deal. Like, I can't imagine covering Georgia right now. Oh, got to talk about another DUI arrest today. And obviously that's not the only thing going on down at Georgia. But my goodness, man. It truly is a blessing that we just get to talk about football with this program. And there's been so little off-field distraction. I guess it's not without exception, right? Devon Mitchell leaving the program in the spring was a big deal. It was a big deal for a couple days last summer when Deion Burks got arrested for, I believe it was DUI that he was arrested for. Don't quote me on that. But he and Makari Vickers both received citations within the span of days, I think. And no, it was very much a departure from the norm at Oklahoma. That's probably why it was such a big deal at the time. But those instances are so isolated, so few and far between. at this point that it's great that we just get to show up and talk about football and talk about recruiting and talk about all the things we should get to talk about, as opposed to just dealing with whatever malarkey some of these programs across the country are dealing with on any given week throughout the season or off season. Kevin in Kansas with an interesting question on the text line. If Jaden O'Neal is taking other official visits, is he technically a Sooner commitment per Brent's policy? Okay. Let me dive into this, Kevin. I think there's a misconception, and this is not a new phenomenon. It's been this way for a while. It's something we end up having to address at a certain point, usually multiple times throughout every recruiting cycle. There's a misconception with Brent Venables' policy. The misconception is if you take other visits, we are dropping your commitment. We no longer recognize you as a commit. That is not true, and Brent Venables has never said or even implied that. What he has said specifically and particularly on record, time and again, is that if you are taking other visits, we are going to continue to recruit as if you are not committed. Not that we're not going to recognize your commitment, but let's say, for example, we want to take 2 quarterbacks, right, as we know Oklahoma does in the 2026 class. Well, if Jaden O'Neal is still taking visits, Oklahoma's going to recruit for 2 quarterback spots as opposed to 1. Do the math. Jaden O'Neal is committed. You want to take 2 quarterbacks, you only have to recruit 1 other quarterback, right? But if Jaden O'Neal is, Jaden O'Neal is committed, but if he's taking other visits and you're still recruiting as if he's not committed, you're recruiting for 2 spots. So right this second, OU isn't pursuing other uncommitted targets beyond Bowe Bentley, but that's largely because you kind of have to figure out whether it's going to be Bentley or O'Neal in this class before you proceed kicking the tires on a second guy. And I do expect Oklahoma will kick the tires on a second guy come August, September, October. Once we do get an answer as to whether it's Bentley or O'Neal that is Oklahoma's quote-unquote QB1 in the 2026 cycle. But to answer your question, Kevin, yes, Jaden O'Neal is still technically an Oklahoma commit. Brent's policy does not dictate that the Sooners cease to recognize him as a commit. They're just moving forward, and they are recruiting for that position that he plays as if he is not committed.
When OU offers a guy, they're basically proposing. They're saying, hey, we're ready to commit. If you want to, we are all in. Let's do the dang thing. Let's get married. And, if someone gets cold feet with OU and says, you know what, I might have done this a little too early, I'm having second thoughts, OU's policy, Brent's policy all along has simply been, all right, that's fine. We will see other people too. You're going to define the terms for us here, but we're going to allow ourselves to do the same. If you look around and you realize that you had it right the first time and you want to come home, then great, come on back. We were ready to commit to you, but that spot may not be available anymore too.
Bingo. And now that we've kind of opened the box on the Jaden O'Neal, Bowe Bentley conversation, let's hit a quick break. Let's hear from our sponsors, and then on the other side, we'll dive a little bit more into this whole conversation because there is a worthwhile and a newsworthy bit of information that we should mention, a development as of this morning that is quite pertinent to the Bowe Bentley sweepstakes. So we will dive into that and much more surrounding the O'Neal-Bentley conversation on the other side. Keep hitting the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439. We'll be back here on Locked In. You're listening to The Ref.
Hey, Sooner fans, this is Jaron Kanik, and you're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Feeling stuck in your current home? Now is the best time to make a move. Home Creations is making home ownership more affordable with low interest rate opportunities and special financing. Don't wait. Live like a champion today. Call Holly at 405-364-9999 to find your dream home.
364-9999 Home Creations. Considering refinancing your mortgage? Now might be the perfect time to start planning. With rates on the move, Stride Bank can help you determine if you may be able to lower your monthly payments, shorten your loan term, or tap into your home's equity. Stride's expert mortgage advisors will work with you to tailor a solution that fits your needs. With local roots and national reach, Stride Bank is your go-to partner for all your banking needs. Stride Bank, your trusted financial partner since 1913. Find out more at stridebank.com. Stride Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
At Meals on Wheels of Norman, we deliver more than just meals. We deliver connection, compassion, and care to homebound seniors right here in our community. But we need your help. Volunteer drivers are the heart of what we do, and just a little of your time can make a big impact. Join our team, make a difference. Visit MealsOnWheelsNorman.com or contact us at 405-321-7272 to sign up as a volunteer and start serving smiles today.
Big wins are blooming across Riverwind Casino.
And the jackpots have never been sweeter.
Go all in on your favorite table games.
Hedge your bets on the biggest wins and unbeatable entertainment.
Use your wild card for the best perks and the top rewards.
And play for your share of the $100,000 Lucky May Days giveaway.
Win with the best.
And we'll see you at Riverwind.
What's up, Ref Army? It's Dusty Dvorak. Do you eat, sleep, and breathe football? KREF is the only place for the most comprehensive daily analysis of Sooner and college football. Catch me every Tuesday and Wednesday during the 10 a.m. hour of The Plank Show as I cut it up with Plank and Josh about everything in the world of Sooner and college football. That's every Tuesday and Wednesday on The Plank Show, and there's only one place to hear it. The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Download the KREF app today to listen from anywhere.
Experience the confidence you deserve at Confidence Ford of Norman, where we're dedicated to providing our customers with exceptional service. That means unbeatable offers on 2024 Ford models right now. Save an incredible $10,000 on a Ford Bronco or F-150 XLT, and save even bigger on an Expedition XLT with $18,000 in savings. Drive the Ford you've always wanted from a team that puts you first. Visit us today at 825 North Interstate Drive, Confidence Ford of Norman, part of the Cavender Auto family, where confidence is Cavender.
Hello, KREF Army. Randy Gardner here to give you some exciting news. The Rose Rock Habitat Restore you have come to love is moving. Yes, moving. Our new location will be 831 Sonoma Park Drive, located just off Northeast 12th Avenue, right next to the Eastside Walmart and behind Pizza Hut. Our grand opening and ribbon cutting will be Friday, May 30th at 9 a.m. Be one of the first to take advantage of some amazing deals. We will have some exciting food offerings, book signings, door prizes, spin the wheel, and much more. Come see what we have in Restore for you. You don't want to miss it. See you there.
Oklahoma-based Precision Fluid Power sells new and remanufactured hydraulic pumps, as well as repairs for virtually any hydraulic pump, motor, hydraulic servo valve, and cylinder. We serve all industries, large or small, regardless of what equipment you operate. Industrial, mobile, agricultural, construction. With over 150 years of expertise, the Precision Fluid Power team can provide solutions to handle all your hydraulic needs, local or out of state. Precision Fluid Power can help. PrecisionFluidPower.com.
It is locked in here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Parker Thune, Blake Gamble here with you. Blake is in the saddle in lieu of Grayson Singleton, who is on vacation this week. Denver from Indiana on the text line, and Recruiting Boomer, 2 texts on the Jaden O'Neal front. And I do want to talk about Bowe Bentley and his official visit this weekend to LSU in just a moment. But, look, I understand that there are some people that are just never going to be completely okay with how Oklahoma has played their cards in the Jaden O'Neal situation. They view OU as hypocritical. They view OU as two-time, whatever. Be that as it may, here's the reality. Nobody's in the wrong with the whole Oklahoma Jaden O'Neal relationship, rocky as it has become. Oklahoma planned to only take one quarterback back in the summer of 2024 when Jaden O'Neal initially committed, and they informed him of that desire at the time. But that was a different offensive coordinator, very different circumstances. They were coming off a 10-3 season, and it was Seth Luttrell calling the shots at Oklahoma. Well, almost a year later, it is now Ben Arbuckle calling the shots on the offensive side of the ball, and Oklahoma's coming off a 6-7 season that has put just about everybody's job security in jeopardy. And so, the calculus of June 2024 does not necessarily apply, and certainly not in this case, to June of 2025. Oklahoma is recruiting 2 quarterbacks in the 2026 cycle. They informed Jaden O'Neal of this very early on, and Jaden O'Neal understandably has begun to explore other options. Doesn't mean Oklahoma did him dirty. Doesn't mean Oklahoma lied to him. There was a lot of transparency throughout this whole process. But Denver from Indiana said, man, that's hypocritical, LOL. So as Brent talked about Jimmy Gigolo in his opening press conference, wow, tables turned. They are Jimmy Gigolo now. Recruiting Boomer says, the whole reason why Jaden O'Neal is taking other visits is due to the fact that Oklahoma is still recruiting other quarterbacks. Yes, correct. That is true. But again, Recruiting Boomer, you look at the situation at Oklahoma, and you look at how much turnover there has been all across the roster, and especially at the quarterback position in recent years, Blake. Oklahoma has got to recruit 2 quarterbacks in the 2026 cycle because, as I have said time and again, I think it's pretty well understood within the walls of that building that come next season, it's John Mateer or Michael Hawkins that returns to Oklahoma. There is no world in which both return, at least from what I've been told. Whit Neubauer is here for how long? Who knows? Jet New is a true freshman. He is here for how long? Who knows? You're at a point in time where the nature of college football dictates that you cannot be certain any player is going to be on your roster 1 year into the future. And Blake, quarterback is the most important position on the football field. We all know this. We all talk about this with regularity. We've all seen what it does to a program like Oklahoma when you don't have a capable quarterback on the roster. We saw that on October 9th, 2022, and it was not pretty.
I thought you agreed not to mention that day. I think that if you fast forward to a year from now, there is one quarterback in all likelihood that OU will trust to start games.
You're right.
You mentioned it's going to be Mateer Hawkins. If they get O'Neal or if they get Bentley, then that's 2 if they show up to campus and they are awesome, absolutely awesome. But that is, break in case of emergency as a true freshman quarterback in the SEC. Again, if everything works out, because, there's a lot of hype around Hawkins and, he was okay at times. He showed flashes, but freshman in the SEC, it's not going to be great. In all reality, I think you're probably going to need to go to the portal again, but who wants to come in and be a backup guy?
And that's the other aspect of it, too, is it's very, very hard to just go find a body, somebody that will come to Oklahoma via the portal with the knowledge that they don't project as the starter. It was a lot harder, quite frankly, a lot harder to land Whit Neubauer than it was to land John Mateer.
That's why I was genuinely excited about Cole Gonzalez. I know he's gone already, but that's the kind of guys that are ideal if you can get them to stay, just because they've proven it at a smaller level. They have experience, and, from their side, maybe they can learn and develop and that sort of thing. And yes, it's mop-up duty. Yes, it's in case of emergency. But if they shine in that aspect, in that moment, then that helps their stock. But, he had to go to greener pastures. He had to do what's best for him. And I respect it. I understand it.
Yeah,
but that's the ideal kind of guy you have in today's day and age.
Jason from Miami says, LOL, OU is not saying O'Neal can't come and compete. Geez, people, it's pretty simple if you've ever played college sports. And not all of us have, Jason, but yeah, honestly, it seems pretty simple to me. Apparently, it is not as simple to everyone else. But it is as simple as this. if you rewind to the 2024 recruiting cycle, OU did the exact same thing, trying to explain the whole two-quarterback dynamic to Michael Hawkins and Brendan Zurbrugg, who both signed in that class to play quarterback at the University of Oklahoma. They pointed back to October of 2022 when they got shellacked 49-0 by Texas because they didn't have a quarterback that could complete a forward pass. And they said, that cannot happen again. It is not for lack of faith in you individually that we are recruiting two quarterbacks. It is not for a lack of belief in what you can become here. It is because we have to have depth. Because if something happens to you or something happens to whoever the starter might be when you show up, we have to have options at our disposal. You can't be the only guy that we trust to go out there and take snaps. Because if we wind up in that situation again, what's likely going to happen is what we saw in the Cotton Bowl against Texas that fateful day in Dallas.
You got to have quality depth. Parker, one thing I admittedly don't know the answer, but I'm going to ask you, what is your best guess, the average number of quarterbacks that start a game per team at the FBS level? If you just had to guess off the top of your head over the last couple of seasons. Again, I don't know the answer, but are we talking 1.8? Are we talking a full over 2? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, again,
look.
That's the whole reason we're having this conversation. I mean, in the NFL, it's even become a big thing. Like, having a quality backup is a part of some team's strategy, truly, because there's going to be a couple games a year where you're going to need somebody to fill in and do a decent enough job to not destroy your season. And in college football, those couple of games can completely destroy and derail your season.
Well, let me ask you this, Blake, and there is a correct answer. I want to see if you can come up with it. When was the last time Oklahoma's starting quarterback took every meaningful snap in a given season?
Ooh. Kyler?
Close. The Jalen Hurts year, 2019. Yeah. Because you think about it, 2020, Tanner Mordecai came off the bench for Spencer Rattler in the Texas game. 2021, we know what happened. Texas game again, it's Caleb Williams coming off the bench this time. 2022, you had the Davis Bevel experience. 2023, Dylan Gabriel and Jackson Arnold both made starts, and then obviously last year you had Arnold and Hawkins. So the point kind of speaks for itself there. It's been a long time. Like 2019 is pre-COVID. That feels like forever ago right now. 6 years ago, okay, maybe it's not that long in the grand scheme. That feels like forever since Oklahoma has had a quarterback, a starting quarterback, take every single meaningful snap of a given season. You hope that is the case every year. But as history has determined, as recent history has certainly determined, you can't bank on that.
I'd be willing to bet there's more quarterback injuries a year in the SEC than in the Big 12, too.
On the Bowe Bentley front, because look, texts are flying in. We'll get to some of them, but I wanted to bring this up because it is significant, Blake. Bowe Bentley will be at the University of Oklahoma for his official visit next week, June 6th through the 8th. This weekend, though, he is due in Baton Rouge for his official visit to LSU. There is one very interesting development that has only surfaced in the last few hours. Now, backstory here, backdrop for this conversation. LSU has a 5-star receiver commit in the 2026 cycle by the name of Tristan Keys. Really good player. Obviously, he's a 5-star for a reason. Tristan Keys has been verbally committed to LSU for, I want to say 2, maybe 3 months. Tristan Keys has been one of the players, or one of the commits, I would say the guy right now in LSU's 2026 signing class that has been most active in recruiting Bowe Bentley to Baton Rouge. He has had a lot of conversation with Bowe Bentley since committing to LSU in an effort to get the 4-star quarterback from Celina, Texas, down to the boot. Well, Tristan Keys won't be in Baton Rouge this weekend, Blake. he will be in Coral Gables, Florida, taking an official visit to the University of Miami. So, although OU is kind of just in a position where they're sitting back and seeing what happens this weekend as some of their major 2026 targets, including Bentley, take official visits elsewhere, that right there is a positive development. No question about it. When the guy or a guy that has been integral in LSU's pursuit of your highly coveted quarterback target decides, you know what, I'm going to go to Coral Gables the weekend that said quarterback is going to be in the boot for his official visit, that bodes well for you. Again, that's not going to be what the decision hinges on. It's a lot more nuanced and a lot more complex than that. I'm not going to go toss in a future cast prediction for Bowe Bentley to Oklahoma just because Tristan Keys is going to be in Miami instead of Baton Rouge this coming weekend.
It doesn't
hurt.
No, not at all. And Parker, this is going to be Tristan Keys' third trip to Miami this spring. I read a quote in an article about how when he was there for the spring game, Michael Irvin was down on the sideline chatting him up and how cool that was, how excited he got about that. He had a quote talking about how, Miami, they had the number one offense last year, and that kind of stood out to me. I was like, that's kind of strange. I was like, I don't even think about Miami being that great year to year, but I mean, I guess, yeah, they had Cam Ward, and I'm just thinking, I'm trying to put myself in Tristan Keys' shoes here. You're a 5-star wide receiver. Some services have them as the best receiver. You're from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Baton Rouge, Miami. There's going to be a whole lot of money on the table.
Oh, my
goodness. And if it comes down to the wire or a flip, if we're picking between a school that's going to drop a bag or a bag and a half, I mean, I feel like it's going to be the U probably. They can get him to flip, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of runway left to travel in that recruitment. But that kind of underscores another reality. So many have asked over the last few months, well, why isn't Oklahoma in the mix for any 5-star receivers? When is Oklahoma going to land another 5-star receiver? Because it's been, since 2019 when they got Theo Weiss and Jaden Hazelwood, in addition to Trajan Bridges, that Oklahoma signed a 5-star wide receiver. And the harsh reality is I don't know when Oklahoma is going to reel in their next 5-star receiver, because those recruitments are absolutely some of the most dramatic recruitments imaginable. There is insane money being thrown around. The Jeremiah Smith experience, for one thing, that recruitment was bonkers in and of itself. But, of course, now that he got to Ohio State and did what he did as a true freshman, every 5-star receiver is going to want the opportunity to be the next Jeremiah Smith, and they're going to want to be compensated like the next Jeremiah Smith. There is no next Jeremiah Smith. There isn't. But I guarantee you, every 5-star receiver that attains that status as a recruit is going to start experiencing visions of grandeur in which they are a Jeremiah Smith-esque talent. And so it's going to become a bag war. And we've seen this already over the last several cycles with some of the top receivers in the country. Those recruitments go down to the wire. There are on occasions multiple flips, and there is always a ton of money involved and a significant financial investment that is made by the institution that winds up landing said recruit. And so there's a reason why Oklahoma hasn't really seriously engaged with any 5-star receivers in the 2026 cycle, and that's also because in the realm of receivers, Blake, practically speaking, unless you have someone like a Jeremiah Smith, the difference between a 5-star receiver who's, let's say, the number 20 overall player in the country and a high 4-star receiver who may be the number 120 overall player in the country, that difference is not that significant at all. And there are plenty of cases in which the high 4-star guy winds up outperforming the 5-star guy at the next level. Because the other aspect of it, too, is it's different for guys. They act differently, I suppose. You act differently when the cupboard is empty as opposed to when it's full. And high 4-star dudes still get paid a good amount of money. They're not broke. But you always have to wonder with guys that have already gotten the bag, already gotten a ton of money, even before playing a down of college football, if they're going to have the same hunger and the same drive. Hello, Micah Hudson, right? Always going to wonder if that winds up affecting their development at the next level. So I would be very surprised, if Oklahoma winds up signing a 5-star receiver anytime in the near future.
Parker, one interesting question off the YouTube chat. Robert asks, a little off the wall, but is there a list out there of returning players that'll be at the Champ U barbecue? Mentioned several NFL players. No, that's been a big deal in the past of having notable alumni on campus for big visits.
Yeah.
Is that something that will even be published, or it's kind of going to be a wait-and-see thing with all the pictures?
Yeah, it is generally a wait-and-see thing, even up until like the week of, because especially if they're guys that are current NFL football players, their off seasons are typically jam-packed as it is, right? Because they're playing football from August through ideally January or February. And then you got voluntary OTAs, training camp, all the like, and so there have been instances in the past where OU has planned to have guys at the Champ U barbecue, and turns out days before they can't make it, they have another commitment they have to honor, and so yeah, it's an event at which the Sooners like to get some of their past stars on campus, and inevitably there are always quite a few that hang around and help recruit on behalf of the Sooners, but I couldn't tell you right now who some of those guys are going to be. We're just going to have to wait and see.
It'd obviously be a logistical nightmare, but can you just imagine Baker, on that smoker, passing out some brisket or a rack of ribs to Bowe Bentley saying, hey, worked out for me?
That's what you'd want, wouldn't it?
Be a pretty good pitch.
Baker Mayfield on the grill serving barbecue to Bowe Bentley. That's your best foot forward in a recruiting sense. Okay, we got one segment to go here on Locked In. Keep firing away on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, 405-651-3439. We'll wrap it up with some of your texts and some more news and notes on the other side. You're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
What's up, Sooner fans? This is all-conference safety Billy Bowman, and you're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
That twinge in your knee isn't going to wait until Monday, and neither do we. At Orthostat, we've expanded, so you get better hours, better facilities, and the same great care. Open 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week. Whether it's sprains, strains, fractures, or joint pain, from knuckles to knees and every joint in between, our same-day, affordable care gets you back to life faster. Visit OuchOrthostat.com to learn more.
Life is yours to spend. Spend it making more money. Spend it making more memories. Spend it learning a new skill. Spend it teaching an old trick. Spend it career climbing. Spend it mountain climbing. First United Bank. Spend life wisely.
Change is coming, Ref Army. From the voice of the Sooners on the rush every day for the triple option.
We've landed on the triple option, and I'm excited.
To the Plank Show, taking over your morning drive from 6 to 9.
Every single radio person, what they want to do is they want to do a morning show.
And the addition of Darinoka from 9 to noon.
While remembering that Oklahoma is top dog, I want to bring an SEC perspective.
Whether it's yesterday, today, or tomorrow, no one covers the Sooners like we do.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Hi, I'm Tanner Mordecai with the San Francisco 49ers, and I'm here to share my experience with the team at Mitchell's Jewelry. They came highly recommended, and my experience could not have been any better. I worked directly with the owner, Newt Mitchell, and he helped me design the perfect ring for my future bride. I was confident I picked the right one with the help from the great people at Mitchell's. Anytime my friends ask for suggestions, I know where to send them, and I'm telling you the same. If you want a great experience and the perfect ring, you can trust the team at Mitchell's Jewelry. Shop with them in Norman or check out their website or socials.
Memorial Day deals are here at Eskridge Honda. Did you know that Honda offers 8 new vehicle models, all priced under $30,000? Like a new 2025 Civic Hatchback Sport for just $27,500, or a new 2025 HRV LX front-wheel drive for just $26,000. Come see all of our Memorial Day deals at 89th and I-35 or online at eskridgehonda.com.
2025 Honda Civic Hatchback Sport 27.5, stock number 250679. HRV 26,000, stock number 250821. WAC through Honda Financial Services. See dealer for details. Offer in 6/30/25.
Hey, all you electricians out there. Are you unhappy with your job? Ever feel like some employers see you as just a name on a time card instead of a human being? Well, at Wade Electric, they're a third-generation family-owned company serving the Norman and Oklahoma City area for over 50 years. They value their employees and want to help them succeed and enjoy their career in the electrical field. If you are unsatisfied with your current situation and are ready to make a change, call Wade Electric at 405-329-1940 to hear about their benefits and learn how to join the team.
Hi, everybody. Toby Rowland here for one of my favorite places to golf, the Trails Golf Club in Norman. The Trails offers great golf activities for the entire family. Men's and Ladies Golf Association events, summer junior golf for the kids, plus club fittings throughout the year. The Trails also has great family social events, monthly special dinners, plus holiday brunches and catering. When you're looking for the perfect place to golf, check out the Trails Golf Club in Norman. Contact Zane Alexander today at 405-364-3790 or visit trailsgolf.com.
Are you, your family, or company looking for a locally owned and trusted management group? Carlsbad Management Group is an owner, developer, and manager of high-quality apartment communities in Oklahoma. They are a locally owned and operated management company for apartments and self-storage units. They are committed to providing exceptional apartment homes, customer service, and increasing the value of multi-family communities under our management. If you would like a free management quote today, call Carlsbad Management at 405-701-1411 and be part of the Carlsbad family.
G-Baby in Piedmont on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line says, Parker, were you on I-40 westbound in a black RAV4 yesterday? If not, you have a doppelganger. Yes, that was me, G-Baby. I'm sure I have a doppelganger somewhere, but that was not it. That was indeed me. Returning home to Blanchard from Bentonville, Arkansas. So, should have honked at me.
Shout out to the Kikimbas.
The who now?
If you know, you know. The Kikimbas.
I do not know.
That's all right.
Okay.
Hardball. It's a good movie.
Okay.
It's an old MTV movie from the early 2000s.
The Waffler on the text line says, are we going to try and redshirt Hawkins? Yeah, obviously the goal, given that Michael Hawkins was unable to preserve a year of eligibility last year because you had to break the emergency glass and insert him as the starter, the goal would be to redshirt him this year as a true sophomore and preserve that year of eligibility. However, is that realistic? Is that likely, Blake? Because as we just talked about, it has been since 2019 since Oklahoma went an entire season without having to deploy the backup quarterback at some point in a meaningful in-game situation. So, redshirting Michael Hawkins would almost necessarily mean that John Mateer gets through the entire season virtually unscathed. Remains effective, does not succumb to injury, and then in that ideal world, Hawkins probably gets some garbage time action in non-conference play, maybe gets some specialized package action later on in the conference slate. I have been told Oklahoma may roll out some two-quarterback stuff, kind of the way they did with Dylan Gabriel and Jackson Arnold at times in 2023, just to leverage Hawkins' athleticism, because he is a freakishly good athlete, right? Good quarterback, but also just a superior athletic specimen. And so the Sooners may find ways to get him on the field, but I think ideally, yeah, you'd love to be able to redshirt him. It just comes down to whether that's going to be realistic or not. Mark in Blanchard wants to know, based on what you said earlier, what's more likely in 2026? Mateer stays and Hawkins leaves, or Mateer leaves and Hawkins stays? I guess it's dependent a lot on what kind of year Mateer has, but I don't see his game being ideal for the pros. Well, you kind of answered your own question there, Mark. But I will say this. I'm not making any comparisons here by any means. But Remember what the discourse was surrounding Baker Mayfield after the 2016 season? Yeah, good college quarterback. Is his game really conducive to the pros? I think Baker went into the 2017 season. This is a while back, so you'd have to correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of the experts had him pegged as like an undrafted free agent or late round draft pick going into 2017. Then, of course, what happens? He wins the Heisman Trophy, takes Oklahoma right to the doorstep of a berth in the national championship game, and then winds up being the number 1 overall draft pick. So, John Mateer's game may not seem ideal for the pros, but you know what the ideal pro quarterback is? A guy that gets it done, whatever that looks like. You know whose game didn't seem ideal for the pros when he was coming out of college? And I said as much. There were a lot of people that said as much. Lamar Jackson. Boy, has he made it work to the tune of 2 MVPs in the National Football League. So if you can play, and there's a spot for you in the NFL. So in an ideal world, Mark, here's what it looks like. John Mateer has an excellent season in 2025, catapults Oklahoma to the upper echelon of the SEC, and has a good enough year that he is ready and willing to cash in his chips at the end of the season and enter the NFL draft, thus making Michael Hawkins the de facto starter heading into 2026. I'm just trying to prepare you, though, for the uncomfortable reality that if Mateer is back in 2026, Hawkins probably isn't. Some of you are going to say, fine, whatever, to that. Some of you are going to be very uncomfortable about that pending reality. But I do believe that is the reality based on the conversations I've had. It's one or the other in 2026, certainly not both.
A tweet I saw today, Parker, this may have been out for a while now, but John Mateer's blue-chip teammates at Washington State. Zip, zero, nada.
Wow.
John Mateer's blue-chip teammates at OU. 48. So, yeah, I mean, there's going to be a level change as far as the opponents he's facing with the SEC schedule, but the talent around him probably going to be a climb in production. I mean, I know he put up some big-time numbers, but
it's amazing how that never seems to get talked about, right? There's always a ton of discourse surrounding how much stiffer the competition is going to be in the SEC. But very few will point out the obverse of that whole dynamic, which is that the supporting cast around John Mateer is going to be substantially better than it ever was at Washington State. So look, I don't know what type of player John Mateer is going to be at Oklahoma. None of us know for certain. But I think based upon what he did at Washington State, you can have the very bare minimum expectation of John Mateer that he is going to be a solidly above average quarterback in the ranks of SEC signal callers. If he is Dillon Gabriel, I have said this time and again, if he is Dillon Gabriel, I think that's good enough. Is that going to be something that most fans are pleased with? I don't know. I genuinely do not know. But I think if he is everything that Dillon Gabriel was for Oklahoma in 2022 and 2023, that is more than good enough to put Oklahoma in the double-digit win conversation because that defense is going to be tremendous. I expect the run game to take a significant leap forward, not only because of the health of the backs, but the presumed health of the offensive line. And, of course, he's going to have weapons the likes of which he never has had at the collegiate level. He had a couple good ones at Washington State. Kyle Williams was an NFL draft pick. But he's surrounded by dudes right now at Oklahoma that are potential draft picks one day.
Parker, one chat from our YouTube once again. Des Garrett coming with a little bit of criticism. That was just a dumb take. Lamar Jackson was going to make it. A blind man could see that. Des.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but I guess.
Listen.
30, 31 NFL GMs. Lamar Jackson was the very last pick of the first round. So a whole bunch of NFL teams sure passed on him and were unsure about whether or not he could stick.
I tell you, man, listen, if you were right on that, if you, the individual, were right on that, step up and claim your prize. I'm not going to try to take that away from you. I'm just telling you, that was a conversation that actually carried on for like the first 4 or 5 years of Lamar Jackson's NFL career. Is his style actually conducive to a lengthy, successful career at the professional level.
Parker, even after he won an MVP, people were like, can you win with this guy at quarterback? Is he a good enough passer?
A verified source on the text line says, the person who said Mateer's game doesn't translate to the NFL probably also thought Quinn Ewers or Sanders was a first-round pick. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing with Quinn Ewers coming out of high school, right, was, this is the ideal NFL prospect. Was he the ideal NFL prospect? Again, the ideal NFL prospect is a quarterback who, by hook or by crook, gets the job done, sustains drives, puts points on the board, wins football games. There is a reason why Lamar Jackson and Jared Goff, two guys on completely opposite ends of the spectrum as far as style of play, can both experience success at that level, playing the very same position. That is all the time we have today for Locked In. Been a fun show. Blake, a pleasure, my friend. We'll do it again tomorrow. The Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line will continue to be the spot at which you can interact with Tyler McComas and Teddy Lehman on The Rush coming up on the other side of the break. 405-651-3439. We will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Don't go anywhere. The Rush is next.